What's up, everyone? Welcome to my Black is Transnational. And I have on here, good brother took the time all the way from Cali, man. I've been really just representing an organization that I think is the next wave of what we'll talk about, what I call hometown associations in my transnational agenda. But man, I got my boy Chidi Wachuku representing Nigerian. Y'all know Nigerian. I ain't gotta say too much about it. So man, Chidi, thank you so much for taking the time and jumping on my Black Transnational. Man, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate it. I'm blessed. Thanks a lot for having me, bro. I'm a big fan of what you do, and yeah, man, I'm just glad to be here, man. Just grateful for everything. So,
Yeah. Well, you know what? So this is how we gonna get down. Like I'm going to allow you to just because I like to give you accolades, but
yeah.
I'm going to let you introduce yourself real quick, share what you want to share, and then we're gonna get into the beginning and just kind of talk a little bit about your story and how it kind of ties into the growth of Nigerian and everything that you all are doing. So yeah, let the people know who you are, where you're from.
Cool, for sure, man. No problem. So, my name's Chidi Udengwu. I was born out here in Los Angeles, California. Not like the city, but I'm kind of from the suburbs out here in LA.
Okay.
But yeah, man, I do a lot. I don't like to to really summarize what I do is I just do a lot. I do my best, and that's all I can really do, man. I mean, I'm 26 years old right now, and yeah, man, I just see this life as abundance, right? It's like
Mm.
abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. It's like abundance of, okay, how much of X, Y, and Z can I do? How much can I give? How much can I give? How much can I give? Not really about taking. I'm not this life isn't really about taking. You got to be a giver in life. And again, these are just proverbs that I live by, like on the daily. Luckily I've had two Nigerian parents that came from Nigeria, born and raised. They had me and my siblings over here. And they just instilled us with nothing but just honestly greatness, gratitude. Um, it's a blessing, man. It's a blessing. I got my two older siblings. We're all pretty much the same age. So brother's 29 right now, sister's 28, and I'm about to be 27. So it's literally like one, two, three. So again, that's a blessing in itself, right? Like growing
Okay.
up with like damn near your best friends. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, y'all gonna be fighting like hell when y'all growing up, but get through that part, it's all smooth, right?
Yeah.
But um what else? What else? What else? Yeah, man, it's a blessing, dude. It's a blessing. My sister, she just got sworn in as an attorney. Brother's going through the medical
Congrats.
school process. So it's
Yeah.
it's just a blessing, bro. Like I'm just, dude, again, this really is not my doing. I work really hard, but I always say it's not my doing. There's somebody watching over me throughout this whole entire
Mhm.
process, and I'm just gonna keep on rolling with it, man. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. So like you talked about your siblings and you talked about coming up. And it's always interesting for me, someone who's in the Midwest, and for somebody who knows a lot more Africans on the East Coast. The African experience, specifically the Nigerian experience. You had both your parents coming from Nigeria. What was that like growing up in a Nigerian household in the West Coast? Were there a lot of y'all? Was it like how did you all go about doing it? I already see that your siblings are already checking the boxes of what our parents want us to be, but like we gonna get into that as well. But like, what was that like? Talk to us.
So growing up out here, Los Angeles is California in general, like the community here is so different. I think it's I travel a lot. I've been to
Mhm.
all the metropolitan cities, New York, the DMV, Houston, Texas, Atlanta, Dallas, everywhere, But Los Angeles has just such a different community because California is so big. So it's like
Yeah.
everybody's so
Huge.
spread out and like the community seems very scarce, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of us out here, man. There's a lot of us, growing up, going to these parties, going to the wakes every weekend. Like, man, it's and these are some of your friends. Like, you meet people there that you grow up with, and like 4 years later, 3 years later, you still see them. You're like, oh shit, like,
Yeah.
what's up, bro? I remember you from this, from X, Y, and Z. And then, obviously now with the power of social media, we're able to connect on like,
Yeah.
the press of a touch of a finger. So I think that's really dope. But California in general, man, it's a big community of Nigerians out here, and it's just growing day by day. So
Yeah.
definitely for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, how often did y'all go back home when you were coming?
When we were young, it was way more often. I've been back to Nigeria like 8 times.
Mhm.
I've been there a lot of times. Um, since older I've gotten, it's been tougher since obviously, I have these obligations. You got school, you got to get through.
Right.
I was playing basketball in school, and like, my family, they would go back during December, but that's the beginning of season, right? So
Right.
I couldn't really leave. That shit sucked. I can't even lie. Like, my brother, sister, mom, dad, they'll all be going. I'd be like, all right, fuck me then, right? Like, so, but it's cool, bro. Like, I want to just definitely want to keep on touching base, back home every year. And yeah, man, we used to go a lot though, to answer your question.
Okay. All right. So then when it comes to when you knew that you were different, like, did you realize that you were different from other Black community or Black cultural groups in California? When did you realize, like, man, okay, I'm a Nigerian and like these people are like, when did it hit you?
Right, exactly. So, okay, again, it starts off with the name. I give
Mm,
all the grace and credit to my parents. Starts off with a name. My last name is Udengwu. My first name is not Josh. My first name is not Kevin. It's not Robert. It's Chidi. So, regardless of what you call me, you're gonna know where the hell is this guy from? I've never heard
mm,
this name. So that starts from elementary school. So growing up in elementary and middle school, it was a lot of, oh, where are you from? And I'm like, I'm from Nigeria. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you
mm,
hear you got the jokes, you got the this, you got the that.
mm,
Again, tides turn, tables turn, right? So it's like being Nigerian, people are very prideful of being Nigerian now, and it's great. I love it. But yeah, since I was young, man, that's when I knew I was like, okay, being Nigerian is cool. It's different. It's different because
mm.
our culture is very, very strong. Everybody that's
Oh
Nigerian,
yeah.
there's a reason we all relate to each other. Is because we were all raised, even though it wasn't the same house, it's the same culture of just
Yeah.
respect, be cool, work hard, do
Yeah.
this, take care of your own, take care of your family, still enjoy yourself. And those are just our morals. So I'm very, very, very grateful, to have that instilled since I was a youth, at a young age. So yeah.
Yeah. Man, the I just realized I apologize, bro. I had your last name wrong. I was going based off of the email. I apologize about that instead of saying
No, you're good,
Udengwu.
bro. You're good. No,
Sorry,
it's Udangu. You're good, dude.
Udengwu. My bad, bro. But yeah, okay. So the cultural piece, right? How heavy was that for you to retain as you got older? When like when did you say, okay, you know what, man, like I need to make sure that this culture that we grew up in, that we all could commiserate and share and can we all can kind of lead these parallel lives where no matter where you go, who you meet, that's Nigerian or West African for the most part, you can find some connection. You can easily make connection. When did you say, okay, you know what, man, like we gotta continue to find a way to do this, and then you all kind of spurred into what you all are doing with Nigerian. Like, how'd that come to pass?
So it was honestly when I was in college, right? So I played basketball. It was Division I school, Idaho State University. It was in the state of Idaho. So I mean, shit, you can only imagine how many Nigerians were there. Like none, right? So,
Mm,
my sister, she's going through the law school process at that time. Brother's going through medical school. I'm trying to go to the MBA. And it just dawned on me. I'm like, yo, we're all doing, and it wasn't just us. Obviously, you got, friends, peers, all doing amazing things. And
right.
you don't take a step back. That's what I did. I took a step back and I'm like, wow, Nigerians are so successful, so smart, so motivated, so guided. But this is a huge but.
Hmm.
Achilles heel for people's success is the lack of organization and community. Right. So I'm like, okay, it's
Hmm.
it's great. We got doctors, we got actors, we got athletes, we have sports players, we have professionals, we have some of the richest people on the planet, but there's not a community. And of course, I'm speaking specifically in the diaspora now, right? We're all doing
Yeah.
great things. We're engineers, lawyers, doctors, but there's no community. There's no signified one stop in a
Yeah.
sense for
Yeah.
Nigerians to, commemorate, commune together and just get together. And, that was kind of the thought process behind it. You know, just a team of us. We're just like, okay, well, that needs to change, like it needs to, the next generation needs to be set up that, there are language courses that are just
Yeah.
streamlined, benefiting off technology. There are things that there are ways to just teach our culture and for us to just
Yeah.
identify with one
Yeah.
thing, even if you're an author and you're a sports player, obviously like what the fuck is the synergy there, right? It's like you like books, I like hooping. Where's the synergy? In the middle. We're both
Yep.
Nigerian. That's where
Yep.
Nigerian comes in. So
Mm, I love that. And so how many of y'all kicked it off?
um Man, I don't know, man. I don't even know, man. It's just a collective of us, man. Just a
Like
small.
now you got to tell me the story, bro. Like how did that happen? Because I'm gonna tell you why. Once you give me the gist, I'm gonna gist you back as to why it matters.
Uh, I mean, so it's a small team of us, a small
Yeah.
team of about 4 or 5 of us that again first sparked the idea
Hmm.
of Nigerian, and yeah, man, I don't really know. It was it was like my brainchild, obviously. So in terms
Hmm.
of that, I'm the president of Nigerian. It's I
Hmm.
just so there's a reason that I don't really parade it anywhere is because
Yeah.
it's not about me. Like it's like
Right.
as you see, like even we're talking right now, it's
Yeah.
just not really the most natural to say because like
Mhm.
I don't. That's not something people need to know. And obviously, right? It's like I'm telling you because we're having this conversation,
Right. 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 Right.
information purpose, but just from the outside looking in, it's like it doesn't need to be in an Instagram bio. It doesn't need to be
Right.
paraded. Hey, this is the president. This is the
Right.
XYZ. This is the marketing coordinator. This is the COO. This is. It's like, yo, do the work. Do the work
Yeah.
and let it pay off. Like that's just always my motto. Like, do the work hard, everything like let it pay off. And this is,
Yeah.
this is what it's what it's doing so far. It's just yeah, it's been paying off because nobody has selfish motives and everybody's just like, all right, cool. Well, we have an opportunity to unify the Nigerian diaspora worldwide. Obviously, we're just starting with the States, but
Yeah.
worldwide, let's do it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Y'all have done an amazing job, and it usually starts with a small amount, right? It starts with a small team, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm amazed by it and why I wanted to know the genesis of it because, like, his throughout the time, right, when I'm here doing my work and I'm really trying to, bring together similarly, the diaspora. I'm talking about being transnational, people who have strong connections to their homeland and still have the best of both worlds, right? Like you just mentioned, you
Right.
go back to Nigeria, your family goes back, but you're here, you're also thriving. You know how to leverage both sides, right? And that's a gift that most immigrants don't have. But in the first generation, right, many of our parents we used to have these organizations and churches and spaces that allowed them to be able to still do the Nigerian thing in America,
Mm,
right? So it could be a church, it could be the Umuyibo, right? It could be these different organizations that allow us to continue to pass the, build the culture, nurture it, and make sure that it still remains present and alive, even though we're in the States or all across the diaspora. But what
mm,
I love about what Nigerian did is that you all took it and you all made it for the next generation, right? I go to different spaces and I try to explain to others that the idea of being Nigerian doesn't always have to be relegated to the old days, right? Like, and I think sometimes we find ourselves having to be nostalgic about Nigeria and not
right.
futuristic, right?
Right.
And that's why I truly love what you all are doing because now the second and the third, and when I say second, I mean children of the immigrants who got here, you
Mm,
all now have taken ownership of the culture because culture is meant to be dynamic, it's meant to evolve. And you all
right.
have taken it and done that, right? You all have taken ownership of the culture, the Nigerian culture, respectfully, but you've made it your own and you're now pushing it forward so that others who came up kind of not feeling like, man, where can we connect that? Where can we be able to share our experiences coming up and not being understood, or maybe being understood, but not being able to be seen? Y'all found that space where it's cool to be Nigerian, but it's cool to still be me and be Nigerian my own way in America, which that's why I love the fact that you mentioned that. And to have a small group of people be able to create that space for that to happen, man, wow. Like it's just remarkable, bro.
That's love, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't think you like you don't even understand. No, that really means the world to me, bro, because that's the goal. So
Yeah.
that means that the goal is being achieved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and just in
Yeah.
such a short amount of time. So, people always, I feel like with things like this, yeah, like whether it's selfish motives or money hungry, nobody on the team is any of that. We're just for propelling forward and, creating culture with
Yeah.
Nigeria and
Yeah.
in the diaspora. So it really means a lot, bro. I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
No, it's the truth. It's really the truth, and that's kind of where I started to see it, and I was like, we are, for me, of course, being having that lens and saying, man, okay, this is like the next generation of hometown associations because now people are able to find home, right? And it doesn't have to be a physical space anymore, right? It doesn't. I mean, of course, physical interaction is still needed, but we don't have to have a physical space for us to be able to feel and be able to relate to each other as Nigerians or even children of Nigerians, wherever you want to identify yourself within the Nigerian spectrum, you can find a space and you can be able to end with the posting and the messaging and all the different cool things that you all are highlighting because we're here. And you know, one of the things that I used to tell people is that like, Nigerians are everywhere. If you don't see it, you're going to see it now. Like
Sure.
we're your athletes, we're your doctors, we're now
Yeah.
your actors, right? And your entertainers. Like
Everything.
we're everywhere.
Everything. It's crazy.
We're here, right? So and what, but I also wonder from your perspective, like the whole Africa to the world movement, right? Like with being African being cool now with Afro beats and like did that help with y'all development and the spread of Nigerian? The fact that like the African culture, Afro beats has now been embraced heavily by everyone in pop culture, or like what would you, or we just like you was gonna be like F it regardless, like we gonna make this thing pop regardless. So
Man, I mean, it's funny because yeah, honestly, it was like it was gonna happen regardless. It was just God's
mm,
timing. Like I feel
mm,
like Afrobeats really went crazy with, it was kind of like the trend of, everybody hopping on the Afrobeat songs. I
you
mean,
know, yeah.
Chris Brown starting it, and then Selena Gomez hopping on it, and Justin Bieber
Hmm.
hopping on Essence, and like that was
Yeah.
really like the catalyst was Justin Bieber on Essence and Selena Gomez
Hmm.
on Calm Down with Rema, and people are
Yeah.
like, oh, what is this? And he's got all these random artists like, oh, let me not say random, but you got like people like Camila Cabello like hopping on Afrobeat songs, and then people it's gonna make people take a step back and say, what the hell is Afrobeats? But
Yeah.
yeah, to answer your question, man, I mean, we were gonna do it regardless. It was just God's timing. Like we started it. Nation started in the latter end of 2020, like the
Hmm.
last quarter of 2020.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, we started off, and we still do it to this day. We sell merchandise online,
Hmm.
scholarship opportunities, live events, entertain events in person, just different ways to connect our community. But yeah, man, it's just God's timing that people are now so intrigued with African and specifically Nigerian culture. So it's dope, man. It's God, honestly, man. It's just
Yeah.
divine timing.
Yeah. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly because I mean, especially in the peak of the pandemic, right? When people were just looking for those spaces for connection, and then
Yeah.
you're able to create that and it just takes off like wildfire. And it is meant to be. And so you kind of touched on what I was going to say as far as the merchandise and all the things that you offer. I was really going to say, okay, what else? Like in addition to creating that space, what are some things that you all are very proud of that you all are, continue to do and you want people to know about that? Like is one of the main things that Nigerian does, like your flagship activities.
So to put that in one sentence would be tough.
It doesn't have to
But
be one sentence, bro. You ain't in a rush. You in a rush?
right, exactly, exactly. Oh, exactly. I'm just, I'm just chatting, but
Okay.
because I like doing it in a sense like that, because we do so many things. I mean, just kind of as I listen, from selling merchandise, custom merchandise, to offering
Mhm.
scholarships to students, to building these projects, to building a whole sports forum with Nigerian Sports,
Mhm.
Nigerian Travel, right? It's going to be our traveling agency that we completely help people book their trips, whether it's back home or Nigerian
Mhm.
travel groups, with other Nigerians in the diaspora traveling from place to place, just things like that. But again, it's all just about one phrase, which is building the community, building the Nigerian community, creating the culture, fostering a new, better, positive culture. Because at the end of the day,
Mhm.
we like to be honest. We need to be honest with ourselves. The culture in Nigeria at this point that it's in, us sitting here talking right now, again, all my family's back home in Nigeria.
Mhm.
Obviously, as my direct family, my uncles, my aunties, my cousins, they're all in Nigeria.
Yeah.
They're again, we're well off in Nigeria, but that doesn't mean that people aren't suffering in Nigeria.
Yeah.
People are suffering. Like it's awful. Like it's god
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's
Yeah.
actually worse than it's ever been. So
Yeah.
with that being said, Nigerian in a sense, as you already stated, that's what we want to build. We want to build that new culture and we want to build that new identity of, okay, like Nigeria may be tough right now, but again, you're still Nigerian just because you don't live in Nigeria. And just because you're not in Nigeria doesn't mean you're not Nigerian.
Yeah.
So that's really where it comes from, is building that safe space and building that community and building the organization.
Yeah.
That's all we need, man. So yeah.
Yeah, bro. And an important part about that I think stands out is belonging, right? You saying even though you weren't born there, you still that, right? And I think you get being able to again taking ownership of that. And so we kind of talked about this off air, but I'm gonna bring it on the air as far as the language piece,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's something that always sometimes makes some of us feel a little disconnected because we didn't get the privilege. Well, I will speak for myself. I unfortunately didn't have the opportunity to really learn the language entirely, right? So for me, I have Igbo, but also Yoruba connections as well. Being in born, in Lagos and everything. But like the language is not something as a Nigerian that I truly understood. And for someone now who has kids, like I want my kids, especially since they weren't born there. And my
Yeah.
wife's African American, but like still, right? She wants them to learn the language, but it's like, okay, well, how do we go about doing that, right? So, and I don't want them to feel disconnected because if they don't feel like they understand the language or anything, can they still feel like they are Nigerian, right? And so that was
Yeah.
one of the struggles in my mind when like I told you, we in Syracuse trying to figure this out, trying to build, find a village or create our own. And to me, I felt like I didn't feel as authentic initially because I was like, man, I can't speak the language. So I felt like, the parents were like, you're useless. Like, like it was like,
Right.
I was like, so I wonder, like, is that something that you and some of your mates experience? And like, is that something that you all, discussed and explored with Nigerian?
Of course. I mean, dude, that's language is one of people really sleep on language, bro. Language is one of the biggest connectors to culture.
Exactly.
Look at any Hispanic, they're gonna speak Spanish or
Hmm.
whatever their language for where they're from may be. Look at any Chinese person, they're gonna speak Mandarin or Chinese.
Hmm.
Anybody Russian, like that's just because they know the power of language. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, obviously, right, our parents migrated here. Some parents completely shunned and said, "No, I don't even want you to have a. I don't even want you to have a
Yes.
Nigerian name. I don't even.
Yes.
I'm not gonna speak it around you at all."
Yes.
Now, of course, they don't even understand the language. Luckily, I was blessed. My parents in particular, like on a percentage scale of Igbo, I am 100% fluent in Igbo,
What?
top to bottom. I can speak it. I understand it. Yeah, no, seriously, like,
That's dope.
yeah, dude, like I've like it's a blessing. It's
Yeah.
seriously a blessing.
It
So
is. It really
that
is,
was
bro.
yeah, that was one thing with Nigerian that we were like, okay, cool. Like we need to make that happen. And it's just, it's a blessing that we're able to now. So that's what we're working on now is, a program that is a language program, that people can come in and whether it's Igbo, whether it's Yoruba, those are the two biggest dialects in Nigeria.
Mhm.
So we're going to be giving lessons on that and we're going to make it very conducive and we're going to make it digestible and we're going to make it easy for people to join and anybody to understand. Like it's going to be that's a long-term goal that we've had since we've started.
Mhm.
I mean, you can only imagine the amount of people that are messaging, emailing, saying, I want to learn Igbo. I want to
Yeah.
learn Yoruba. I want to
Yeah.
learn Hausa. I want to learn how to
Yeah.
speak Edo. Like,
Yeah.
so again, like, that's a big thing that we do is we ask the community what do they want.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say that, and that's what we're working on. It's a big
Yeah.
project we're working on.
Well, man, I'm very excited to see how that turns out because I think that's going to be a major, come up
Right,
for
right,
for a
right.
lot of us who are able to. Once you're able to get the language, I feel like it unlocks just another level on how you
Oh,
go
for
about
sure.
navigating and
Absolutely.
embracing your Nigerian culture. So, okay,
Yeah.
so now just overall, like, what were some of the things that y'all ran into that were like, I wouldn't necessarily say hiccups, but barriers? Like, how did y'all overcome it? Like, the the parent in me is like, how did your parents handle this? Like, how did your parents when you told them that instead of doing this, you decided you wanted to create this? Like, how did they feel when they found out you did this? Like, I'm curious.
So, I mean, so Nigerian is it's it's how do I even say this? Nigerian is something that I plan on, and everybody who's part of the team plans on it. It's way bigger than us.
Oh
It's
yeah, for sure.
the unfortunate part about Nigerian and the unfortunate part about anything that you do or that you're working on that you start, you're never truly gonna see like it's true mass, right? Like I know
Yeah,
that Nigerian is gonna be way past us. God,
yeah.
again, God willing, right? That's the
God
goal.
willing. Yep.
We want Nigerian to live on past us because it's for these kids. It's for the next
Yeah.
generations after them to say, okay, cool, you're 7 years old. All right, cool. Well, good thing there's a Nigerian retreat that takes kids 5 through 7, 7 through 9, 11 through 15 on trips every single
Yeah.
month, just 1 week in a month. I
Yeah.
mean, it's possible. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's like those are the heights that we want to reach. But as far as struggles with Nigerian, one of the struggles was kind of what we imagined it would be. Nigerians are very, very, very successful, but very, very,
Yeah.
very tough.
Very tough.
Very, very, very
I have to
tough
take my
to
glasses
crack.
off.
Very tough to
Very tough, bro.
buy in. It's tough, but again, pressure bursts pipes,
Yeah.
and either it makes coal or it makes
You make
diamonds.
diamonds.
So
Yeah.
the right amount of pressure and the good pressure of, hey, you need to buy into this because this is like just feeding it to people. Hey,
Yeah.
here's this, here's that, here's that. I've started off this conversation by saying you don't take, you give
Mm.
content, you give things away, you give affordable merchandise, you give scholarships, you give opportunities to people that are in school, you
Mm.
give these lessons, you give these in-person free events, you give
Yeah.
this and that, and then
Yeah.
time under tension, eventually people will begin to buy in, and it's just a slow burn. That's all it is. It's just a slow burn, steady burn.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. Persistence, man. Persistence and
all it is,
perseverance,
man. That's
bro.
all it is,
Persistence and
bro.
perseverance. I
Yeah.
love it, man. Well, I mean, so I think the only other interesting thing I'm curious about for you all in the Niger Nation is I kind of hinted about this before as far as how, okay, now it's cool to be African, but like I wonder, right? One of the things that we don't talk about enough, at least I think we're talking about it more now, to be quite honest, but the African and the African American connections, right? Even throw we could throw in a Caribbean brothers and sisters as well. But like
Mhm.
that relationship and that dynamic, right? And like what are your thoughts about that? And how does Niger Nation play into that? Because a lot of this generation that you're appealing to, most of them, I can assure you, try to struggle with identity and figure out what they identify with, and they navigate both worlds because you are being born here. Your parents will tell you that, yeah, when you come into this house you're Nigerian, but when you're out there, most of your friends and your connections are African American, and you won't, so you try to figure out how you roll. So what was that for you and your crew?
So that's one of our main goals, is to really bridge that gap, because I mean
Love it.
there's a big
Yeah.
gap, and there's a lot of, as people call them, diaspora wars, and it's just sad. It's just more division that people that are outside of our race, they see and they probably laugh at. Like, how do you?
Yeah.
That's like a Chinese person and a Japanese person fighting with each other, and but they're both Asian in a sense.
Right.
It's like both, yeah, you know what I mean? So it's just crazy to me. That's always been the craziest concept. But obviously, due to sad things like slavery and
Absolutely.
transatlantic slave trades and people being
Mhm.
disconnected from the mother continent way earlier, it's like over years and generations. See, that's the point. Remember, that's what we started off by saying. That's generational trauma.
Yeah.
There can be generational positivity with
Yeah.
the generations. Just keep on building this and building that, and yeah, then things can turn out positive. But yeah, it's tough because while you're trying to bridge that gap, people don't want to bridge the gap
Mm.
because they've built their own identity, and that's cool. That's cool, but that's just our goal. We can't change the world at the end of the day, right? But we
Yeah.
can try, right? We can
Yeah.
try to do things
Yeah.
bit by bit, piece by piece, day by day. So that's all we're doing, man. Just trying to build a very positive space, which we have built, positive community, and just bridge the gap day by day.
Yeah. No, I think that's one of the things that I found appealing about what y'all are doing, man, is that the that's the same thing that I want to do. That's the same thing that we in my Blackest Transnational is trying to do, is by letting everybody know that like we have the opportunity to have the best of not just both, but multiple worlds, right? It's not just about Africans who come to America, but how about bringing more African Americans back to Africa, right?
Right.
Taking them back to the mother continent, or at least giving them the opportunity to be able to reconnect with anywhere that they want to consider their new home, right? And being able to leverage and go back and forth the way we immigrants and children of immigrants have the luxury of being able to have. But it takes that understanding and reconciliation of how do we bridge these gaps? How do we come to understanding that like we've all been duped, like we've all been
I
finessed.
know.
You know what I mean? Like we've all been finessed into this situation, and we need to now work our way out of it because, like you said, we have the means, we have the tools, and a lot of us are very gifted, and we can be able to do these things. But you have to be able to get that buy-in, and there has to also be people willing to be to bridge those gaps. So I mean that's yeah. I think overall, man, like what y'all are doing is just phenomenal. And so like you've kind of talked about some of the things that y'all have coming up, but what are some major things that people should be looking out for that y'all got in the works?
Um, besides the continued social media presence, definitely new merchandise,
Mhm.
definitely next year, new events in different states, and we're definitely going to try to bridge into the United Kingdom's huge Nigerian community
Yeah.
there. Canada, we did an event in Canada this past October for Independence Day. It was great turnout.
Mhm.
Besides that, definitely the language program, different programs that are going to be hosted on our website. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, that's just the goal, man. Different programs, different opportunities. They're all going to be on our website. I mean, for any updates, definitely subscribe to our email, SMS list. Just go on our website. It's very streamlined, and yeah, just look forward to those things, and just look forward to just the positive consistency of having a community of Nigerians here in the diaspora.
Yeah. And I know y'all are actually starting to build like many communities. Like I know y'all have like y'all seen a Nigerian in Houston, which is makes a lot of sense. And I think so how does one go about doing that? Where you can be able like we in Chicago over here and the Nigerians are deep here. And so yeah, that's the thing. So
I've heard, man. I heard y'all deep out there, bro.
yeah, Nigerians are deep, right? And so, like, how does one? So, if I wanted to say, look, man, we trying to create a Nigerian in Chicago here, like, what would that look like? What type of steps does one have to take?
Well, just
Mhm.
reach out to our email, and yeah, I mean that's one thing that again it needs to happen, right?
Yeah,
There just in places that have big Nigerian communities, we just need to identify them, and we need help. We need help identifying them sometimes. Sometimes our research slips through the cracks sometimes, and we're like, oh well, we
Mhm.
missed this huge Nigerian community in Nashville, Tennessee, which again there is,
Right.
right?
There
So,
is. Yeah.
it's not everybody's in Houston, not everyone's in New York. Nigerians are everywhere, so just want to give everybody a little bit of everything. But yeah, to build that, we can just reach out, and then we can start on the social media realm, and then start with being able to coordinate these events, and then people can all get together in person in these different communities, like Chicago, the Nigerians, as you
Yeah,
said.
yeah. I mean, it's so it'd be dope. I think that's good to know because that definitely be something that I'd love to help assist with, man. I
Yeah,
think again,
sure.
definitely as far as being able to continue to grow that. I think the reach, man, if we can find a way to create that oneness. I
Mhm.
mean, I think of course, like you do have other entities that are building up, and I wonder like what's your relationship, or if there is any relationship with, for example, like Amplify Africa, right?
Oh
And I
yeah, of
think
course. Yeah, for
they're
sure.
like so like what's that connection like? Because I know they have a broader scope. Y'all are more focused, so there is no competition per se. But like, and most of them are based in Cali, I think. So like, how is
Mhm.
that going as far as continuing to collaborate to continue to fulfill the mission?
Absolutely, it's great. I know the founders of Amplify Africa like very well. I was talking to Dami this morning. Like he's a great guy, very
Yeah.
hardworking guys, honestly. So again, the goal is to just collaborate with these other great entities because we look at them and we say, "Wow, you guys have been around longer than us. You guys are doing amazing." And I mean, yeah, man, just and that goes with a lot of groups, a lot of Nigerian, a lot of African businesses. We're always open to collaborations. We get a bunch of collaboration emails, so we're always just looking through them and responding. Trying to find a way that we can come together and collaborate. So yeah,
Mm.
I think companies such as Amplify Africa, I think they're great for the culture.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean it's always exact. I mean to collaborate is always better than to compete in this situation when there's room for everybody to eat.
There's
It
definitely
makes
room. Yeah, there's
it
definitely
make
room.
it makes a lot.
I think that's one thing that people always get twisted is like, oh no, I need to be the top dog. But I'm like,
Why? But
Let's
why?
let's say there's a city, right? And there's a bunch of buildings. Everybody always wants to have the biggest building. They're like, oh no, I'm gonna cut down this building so I can grow my building. But it's like, I don't want to have the biggest building like that. I
Right.
just want to have a building, and I want to have a building for the longest.
Right.
That's it. That's all
Consistency.
that matters is
Hmm.
longevity. So yeah,
Yeah. And I think that's dope. I think that's a dope perspective to have. And that's the reason why y'all are thriving because like from jump, right? You've already said I'm not even, it's not that I know what it is as far as the creation imagination, but it's like a child is going to take a life of its own, right? And
right.
at some point, it's going to have its own independence. You make sure that you guide it properly and give it the tools that it needs. But ultimately, right, you want it to take on a life of its own and be able to do and fulfill the mission and its purpose, so to speak. And so, but there are people who come out and want and have other agendas. So sometimes one of the issues, like you said, is, instead of buy-in and people are just tough to trust, but the competition, right? People have a different vision than
Mm,
you and want to, go about trying to sabotage instead of trying to
exactly.
uplift, and that's
Yeah.
just, I feel like that's whack. But that
No,
is
no.
kind of how the business goes sometimes in some places, which I try to stay away from that type of shenanigans, but you know what I
Man,
mean?
bad energy, stay far away. Make it stay far away.
Exactly. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. I know you too, bro. You got a podcast. Y'all got a podcast, right? The Novex podcast. And
Hey,
so tell me, like, what is that about? Like, let those who may not know what are some of the things that you all do over there and what,
mhm.
conversations you all have over there.
Yeah, definitely.
Faith is the I got it
Yep.
right, right? Yep, she's one of the
Yep.
yep, yep, okay.
Absolutely. Faith, amazing anti-Faith. Yeah, she's so amazing. I mean, she she's so knowledgeable, and that's pretty much the point of the Novex podcast is not just Nigerian culture, but African culture. We're going to
Mhm.
talk about things that are happening in African culture. We're going to talk to people that may have perspectives that other people may want to hear. We're going to talk to somebody who may have been going down the doctor route, but then they said, you know what, fuck it, I don't really want to be a doctor. Like I want to
Okay.
be a rock star. And then, we want to talk to somebody like that because a lot of people may feel like that. So,
That's my life.
yeah, man, that's the point of the Novex podcast. But again, it's called the Novex podcast because, as we say, Mickey Novex or
No
Mickey
vex at all.
Novex. So I
Yeah,
beg, because some
yeah,
people get pissed at what
yeah.
we say, but Novex, that's
No
literally what
vex.
the Novex podcast. So, it's been a blessing having Faith on the team. And yeah, we're just going to get really back to that podcast and just continue to grow it.
Yeah, man. No, I'm looking forward to that. Put me on that podcast, bro. Let me let y'all.
Easily,
Let me get some
easily, bro.
invite, man. I come
Easily.
in there. Let me come in there and rap with y'all real quick, man. I'd love that.
Exactly. Like having people like you on that podcast, bro. Like people that have created their own and are growing their own. It's great, bro, because you have a perspective that other people want to hear, and
Exactly.
it's great, dude. Transnationalism is huge. It's huge,
Yeah.
but a lot of people don't know about it. A lot of people don't
And
know
that's the thing.
about it.
Nobody knows about it. So yeah, I would love that, man. It'd be an honor. But yeah. So I want to wrap things up by just kind of getting you to just kind of let us know, like, what do you want your legacy to be when it's all said and done, right? I know
Right.
we taking the humble route, and you should, right? And I know we talk about working hard, and you do, but like, what when it's all said and done, what do you want the legacy to be?
Or is this for Nigerian? Or is this for myself or what?
All of the above, whatever. I'm not gonna give you
I got
no
you. I
bound.
got you. I would, and this is just me being real, bro.
Be real, please. If you should have been real all this time, like
Now, of course, I know I've been real, bro. I
yeah.
promise. I would say, for Nigerian, I want Nigerian to, in short, be the new Nigeria, like
Mhm.
the new Nigeria, like Nigerian colon the new Nigeria.
Yeah.
That's really it. Is top to bottom collaborating with whether it's entities in Nigeria, but we just want Nigerians from a young age to know that there is a Nigerian community and it's the new Nigeria and it's
Yeah.
Nigerian. And I would say
Yeah.
overall, like I again, God forbid, but it's gonna happen one day. Unfortunately, all of us at one day are not gonna be here anymore. And
Yeah.
again, legacy is only gonna be able to tell who you were. I
Yeah.
wanted to say on my tombstone, he tried his best. That's it. Like
Mm.
that's it. Like whatever he did, he tried his best. That's it. Because that's all that I do, no matter what. Like I mean, Nigerian, my job, anything I do on the side, you know, I dabble in politics. I just try my best, bro. Like there's not a perfect route I can take. So I just want to be known, you know, as Chidi Udengwu tried his best, and he tried his best no matter what he did. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I do think that that's where it's headed for y'all. Y'all are definitely right now at top of the top doing your thing. Again, I'm gonna give y'all flowers. I don't know y'all that, but I've seen I'm a fan, I'm a follower,
Oh, thank
and
you.
I'm always gonna be one person that's gonna keep it real and give you your flowers and just continue to salute because that is what we need. I went again, not to this is about you, but I want us to be a conversation. But I remember going to a summit in July, and I tried to explain to people that like Africa is the future. Like, and why shouldn't it be? You know what I mean? We're not just going to romanticize it in the spirit of Wakanda. Like Africa really should be and should be considered the future with a
Right.
lot of us, and then not just because like of the continent, but because a lot of us we are transnationals. A lot of us are there, but here,
Yeah.
we're there in spirit. We can go back. I mean, when you think about all the movements, right? Like the NSARS and all the things. I mean, when people came together, when we talk about
Right.
making moves, we got doctor, lawyers, engineers. We got people who got a lot of capital all
Yeah.
across the world that
Mhm.
really still consider Nigeria home in their
Yeah,
hearts. And when
for sure.
when things go down, we can pull up real
Yeah,
quick and really
sure.
send a resource. So that for my kids, right? This is special and important for them because I think about my three kids, right? And I'm like, man, if I when I don't feel like I can I mean, you get to a stage where your dad is not cool anymore, whatever, right? But when I can't get to a stage where I can show you how important it is, I can't force you, but I want you to see that you can be yourself and be as Nigerian as you want to be, and you can find others like you who can be able to do that in a way that's still respectful, that still honors our
Mm,
parents and everything that they strive to kind of leave for us. But when they leave it for us, we know how to take care of it, but still leave our imprints and our marks on it and prepare it for the next generation, right? And
right.
further on, because that's what it's about, the evolution. So to see what y'all are doing, man, like I said, I just want to congratulate y'all. I want to salute y'all. And I want to let y'all know that my Black is transnational and just me as a person, whatever I can do to be able to continue to support and uplift what y'all are doing, man, collaborating, whatever
Sure.
it'll
Of
be an honor. It'll be a pleasure to continue to do that, man. But I want to just thank you for jumping on the show, Chidi, and for
course.
showing
Anytime.
love, man, and for just coming through. I know y'all have busy schedules, so for taking the time to come through and talk to me about this, I really appreciate it.
Of course, family, anytime, bro. Like, and yeah, from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of the entire team, bro, we appreciate you. And people like you are the reason that Nigerian will ever continue to grow. Because it's like, you know, it needs people that are proud of the culture. You know, it needs people like you that are proud of what they're doing and just want to continue to propel for greatness, bro. So I really do appreciate that, man. It means the world, bro. I appreciate that. Seriously,
Thank
man.
you, thank you. Well, so how can people find y'all? People, I mean, this I'm stating the obvious, but you got to state the obvious. How can people find you and follow you and learn more about what you're doing? Just for people who jumping in and cut to the end of this podcast.
Yeah, definitely, man. No worries. You can go on all social platforms, type in Nigerian, spelled Naija, and then the word nation, Nation. So you can go on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you know, Pinterest, YouTube Shorts, anything, you know, all social channels, and just type in Nigerian, and then you know, just look through, see what you find. We have a website, we sell merchandise there. You know, you can go feel connected in person through one of our events, and yeah, there's gonna be a lot more offerings coming soon, but definitely go on all social channels, look up Nigerian, check it out. Boom. Let them talk. You gotta let the
Yeah.
people talk, man. Let the people talk. You know?
Facts, man. Chidi Udengwu, man, jumping on representing Nigerian Nation. Thank you so much for jumping on my Black
Of course,
Transnational.
man. Love, man. Appreciate you, bro.